escucha.
DJ, vámonos.
Music vibe.
Good
morning.
And welcome to our very first episode of Morning Ramblings, where we spill the tea on all things life, law, and business.
I'm Michael, avid coffee drinker, as you'll see every week, and husband to this wonderful and beautiful woman next to me. I am not a lawyer, just here to ask questions and help break it down for everyone.
And I'm Alicia Wheeler, tea enthusiast, drinking a chai tea latte today with coconut milk, and I am an attorney and founder of Wheeler Law, where we break down barriers and build futures.
Mm-hmm. And so to get it started, we just kind of want to break down why we're doing this podcast and what we're going to be doing every week. So with social media out there, everyone has access to information, but it might not be the right kind.
Yeah, so it makes information super accessible, but it also means there's a lot of misinformation out there, especially when it comes to the law.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing?
Oh, sorry. I saw a TikTok about an axolotl, and I guess they cause cancer.
No, they cure cancer.
Oh, that's not what that said.
They cause...
So people see a quick Instagram or TikTok story, and they think they know everything, but it might not be true, or it might be a half-truth, so we want to take one topic and really dive into it.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to be a reliable source for you without making it dry or overwhelming. We want to break down the big legal themes and connect them to what's happening in the world right now, especially under this administration with immigration law. There's just so much out there that we can talk about. And there's also so much misinformation in the news titles and the news articles and TikTok, everywhere that you see. So I'd really like to be a reliable source for you.
Mm-hmm. And being married to a lawyer and an extension of Wheeler Law, at the end of her day, I'll hear kind of a summary of what happened, and a lot of times, goes right over my head. So it might be the case with some of you viewers as well. So I really want to make sure that we kind of slow down, and I'm here to make sure if I understand it, then you guys will understand it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And so each week we're going to start with the first pour, which is something positive or a win from our team at Wheeler Law. And then we'll move into spilling the legal tea, where we unpack a legal topic and talk about a current event.
And then we'll end with a quick sip, just a summary to tie it all together of why we're here, and ending with that reliable takeaway for you to bring into your life.
So it should be a quick 10-15 minutes, but also leave you a little bit more informed and hopefully a little bit entertained.
So grab your mug, drink a coffee with us, sit down, settle in, and let's get into our very first morning ramblings.
Yes. So for the first pour, something good that happened last week is one of our clients was granted an application called Withholding of Removal from a Phoenix immigration judge.
Awesome.
I'm very excited for our legal team.
Congratulations. Every single win should be celebrated, especially in law, because I know all the hard work that goes behind it with Alicia and her team and the immense amount of hours and preparation they put into it. So, but also the fact that it was a client and a human being and a family out there that has a better life because of it. So every week we'll celebrate a win, because that's the best part of why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah,
and just to kind of get into it, so this week's topic is withholding of removal.
It is, yeah.
To my understanding, that is when you prove to the court that there's a high percentage chance that if you are sent home or go back home to where you're from, that you will be in great danger.
Yeah.
So we are kind of the safe haven.
Yeah, it's exactly that. So withholding of removal is a protection from the U.S. government being able to send someone back to their home country if their life or freedom would be more likely than not, so that's kind of legal standard, be in danger. And it has to be for a specific reason. It can't just be because of general violence or poverty. It has to be because of the person's race, religion, nationality, their specific political opinion, or possibly their membership in a specific group. And that's the reason why they're being harmed.
Mm-hmm. So is that kind of the difference between asylum and withholding of removal? Is it that it has to be a more specific reason, or is it a timeline issue? What's the difference? Because they kind of seem similar from my perspective.
They are really similar. The legal standard is slightly different, but you still have to prove that you're being harmed for that very specific reason, one of the reasons that I listed. But if you're granted asylum, you actually have a pathway to residency. You can apply for your green card after 1 year, and then after 5 years, you can apply for your apply for naturalization, which is the process of becoming a U.S. citizen. So it actually has a legal pathway to stay here and have status. Where withholding is a little bit different. It just allows you to remain here in the United States with essentially a work permit because the government cannot deport you back to your home country. But it doesn't prevent you from deporting you to a different country.
Which is kind of what we're seeing in our recent political atmosphere, where you're just like your case this week, you protected them being here, but the administration is trying to find ways around it.
Yeah.
Kind of like a case that we're seeing.
Yeah. So that leads us directly right into spilling the legal tea, because I'd like to talk about the case of Kilmar Ábrego García, a man from El Salvador who the government was granted withholding of removal, but then the government just deported him to El Salvador.
Yeah, so I'm sure you've heard of it, as everyone has. But so Kilmar entered the United States in 2011. And then in 2019, he had applied for withholding or removal, and proved to the court that it was dangerous for him to be sent back to his home country of El Salvador. So he did get that passed, but just recently they went around it and did send him back to El Salvador, to a very dangerous prison. And then the courts ended up finding that was wrong.
Yeah, so obviously his legal team filed the motions with the court, and they were able to bring him back because it was a violation of his withholding grant to be able to he was protected from being sent back to El Salvador, and they called it wholly lawless. But the issue now is, and the reason why we're still seeing it in the news, is now the government's trying to deport him to a whole bunch of other countries, and whether or not they should be allowed to do that. The question is, technically, yes, under the statute, they can deport them, but should they?
Yeah, and just because another country agrees to take them, from my outside perspective, you're sending the withholding removal refrains them from being sent to their home country because of safety concerns, but sending them to a whole other country where they don't know anyone, they don't have any family, they don't have a job, and this country doesn't have any legal obligation to set them up for success, that seems like a very dangerous scenario as well. So it's just bringing up, yes, they can do this, but it's bringing up ethical and legal concerns that Alicia and lawyers around the country are fighting against.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really interesting that now it's really coming to light, because in previous administrations, when people were granted withholding, the government wasn't trying to deport them to other countries, so you didn't hear about it in the news. So now under this administration, when they actually are, that's when it's really coming to light how this application isn't the best solution. It really doesn't really provide a lot of protections, because like you said, they're going to this other country where they have no status. They're essentially unlawfully there as well.
I guess, and does that, even though they're trying to go around it, obviously there's hope for the future that this gets fixed so it doesn't happen. But in the meantime, does that take away the necessity for applying for this if it is something that applies to any of the viewers?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So in my office, in my practice, it's always our goal to fight for asylum first, if we have a legal basis for it, of course. So, for example, in Mr. Garcia's case, he applied for asylum after 1 year of his entry into the United States. And to be eligible for asylum, you have to apply within your first year here. And if you miss that deadline, then you either have to show an exceptional circumstance or another reason as to why you didn't meet that deadline. And if you can't find that, or the judge doesn't find a valid exception, then you're only eligible for withholding. So it's always our argument to first try for asylum if there's a legal basis for it, and then in the alternative, fight for withholding, or also this other protection called protection under the Convention Against Torture. But that way you at least have some protection from the United States.
So basically, as a summary, we're just control what we can control and do everything we can to give our client the best chance.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no reason to give up. Even in the political climate, there's different ways, your attorney can advocate for you. You have different appellate rights if you were to lose asylum, but be granted withholding. You still have an opportunity to potentially appeal the reason for the denial of asylum. So absolutely, there's no reason to give up, and it's definitely worth fighting for.
So we will be following the rest of this case as it unfolds and seeing what happens. So we'll update you in future weeks. But as a summary, do you want to wrap it up with the quick sip?
Yeah, so if you're being granted withholding or removal, don't assume that the order alone solves everything. It's critical to have really great representation in immigration court so your rights can be protected.
Awesome. Well, we are here. We'll be here next week, hopefully for that reliable source for good information and a quick laugh. So we'll see you next week.
And thanks for joining us on our very first episode of Morning Ramblings.
Thank you.
Thank you.